Hi again. Dwight Wilson, Armageddon Now. This is page 153 in the chapter From Sinful Alliance to Christian Realism. This is dealing with the prophetic speculation after World War II. As the Cold War got going, a lot of evangelicals were even urging for a preemptive atomic strike upon Russia before she got the weapon. So Wilson goes on, there is no doubt that anti-Russianism was rampant among all Americans in late 1947. In this same issue, Christian Life editors quoted figures from a September 26 Gallup poll which showed that 53% of all American adults believed that World War III would break out within 10 years. Christian Life had made its own poll of its readers, which showed a comparable figure of 49%. Though no figure is available for the general public, 26% of the Christians expected war in 5 years, while 25% of the readers did not expect war with Russia at all in the foreseeable future. One of the latter group responded, "Who thought up this hate-mongering?" Probably the worst example of hate-mongering appeared as an editorial in the Southern Presbyterian Journal by I. Nelson Bell, father-in-law of evangelist Billy Graham, and eventually the first executive editor of the periodical Christianity Today. The editorial, entitled Christian Realism, began with the premise that communism would continue until it was stopped by force, and then concluded, quote, "The solution, let the American government issue notice in Russia, or to Russia, that she is to start the immediate evacuation of all territories into which she has expanded since 1942. Further, that at the end of 1 week, one atomic bomb will be dropped in a sparsely settled area of European Russia and another in a like section in Siberia to prove that we can and will carry out our ultimatum. Then, unless there is clear evidence that our demands are being carried out, at the end of 5 more days, the next bomb will be dropped on the Kremlin, with immediate and continued use of the bomb until the present communist regime is replaced by men who are willing to comply with our demands." End of quote. After that shocker, he added, quote, "We do not expect this suggestion to be put into practice, but we make bold to predict that not many years hence we will wish with all our hearts that we had done just this thing." End of quote. No scriptural basis was offered for such realism. This statement of international ethics brought an avalanche of criticism in Christian journals throughout the country. Bell found it expedient to apologize, but not for the ideas, only for their expression. Quote, "It is our considered but belated judgment that this journal was not the proper medium for the expression of a personal opinion on secular problems by a member of the editorial staff." End of quote. He had been guilty of violating the taboo against the social gospel, not of subverting the beatitude, "Blessed are the peacemakers." This attitude was not unique with Bell. Erling Jorstad, in his 1970 book, The Politics of Doomsday, gave as an example the executive board of the ultra-fundamentalist American Council of Christian Churches, which in 1948 called for war, saying America had, quote, "a moral responsibility to strike first using adequate and necessary ways to thwart the maddened purpose of the enemy." Jorstad's analysis of one of the bases for this frame of mind does seem appropriate. Quote, "Apocalyptic premillennialism assured them that their call for war with Russia was not really warmongering, since only God could destroy this planet, and since that would not happen until after the final judgment, Americans need not fear any form of nuclear warfare." End of quote. In this philosophy, the overlapping of morality and determinism was apparent. True, this selective morality was an appeal to a sort of civil disobedience in later national law, especially the situation where Bell found it justified to meddle in the internal affairs of Russia to replace the present communist regime. His appeal was to some higher law of universal human welfare. Unfortunately, because of the deterministic element, This moral crusade was not moderated by any realistic fear of retaliation or martyrdom. It was antinomianism, while refusing to leave everything fatalistically in the hands of God, since everything was predetermined according to prophecy anyway. Proponents of this philosophy failed to nourish any healthy skepticism of their own moral crusade that could have produced sensible caution. Since all was predetermined, how could they possibly go wrong? I'll put in a link to F.F. Bruce and one of the hard sayings of Jesus, namely, I came to cast fire on the earth. See you next time.